Welcome to the new episode of Risk and Flow. Today I'm going to have part 2 about our previous episode of Expat Insider, where I talk about the CMO of InterNations, Kathrin Chudoba. So today we're going to dive even deeper on that topic, especially in Finland, how the expat life is in Finland. What are those risks related to pursue your professional and personal life in Finland? So today my guest is an entrepreneur. She has also moved to town with no family, with no networks. She is a successful career consultant and advisor, so I'm eager to hear her story and insights on the topic today as well. So, welcome to the studio, Julia Kaukinen.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm really happy that we met on LinkedIn when you posted about struggles of international people in Finland. And I do agree they have struggles, but there are places to dig in. And I proved it. My clients proved it. Our friends, colleagues proved it. So I think I will be happy to share some advices and some risks, of course.
Yes. Yeah, I shared my experience. At this point, my experience is not the brightest one among the expat experiences what comes to Finland, but I'm eager to hear that there are a bright side as story of yours. So can you, Julia, start with telling us a little bit your background? Who are you and where do you come from?
Today I am an entrepreneur. I'm running a career agency for top and middle management professionals. But I moved to Finland from Russia, and it was over 20 years ago. I moved to study here. Well, I decided to skip Russia because of the culture, because you don't have this independence. I don't know, as a woman, I didn't feel so. So I wanted to study in the country and to work and live in the country where I have more opportunities. And I moved from Karelia to a small place, Kajaani. I don't know if you've heard of it. That's like a really small place. But it was cool because there were so few foreigners. I actually studied in English, but I kind of made that choice that I will integrate into Finnish society. I will talk to Finns. I will I will improve my Finnish. I learned Finnish in Karelia before, so I knew how to read or how to spell or whatever. So that helped me a lot. And I was struggling. I tried to get a job, even summer job in that place, and I didn't find one. So I needed to move to Lahti, then move to Helsinki just to be able to get employed. But I did get the first job contract in Lahti just by calling to employer, and it was a newspaper advertisement, and I was like, I will call them and I will prove them that I can speak Finnish. So, fake it till you make it. I learned this sales pitch in Finnish, and I killed it. And I got the job, and it was the job was in Finnish, serving Russian clients. And it was my first job in Finland. After that, of course, I moved around. And I moved around a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine that story. You're a Russian woman coming to Finland alone. I have a Russian friend or half Russian friend that even though she has born here, but her mother is like a Russian, and those traditions, that culture is like, I have experienced that through my friends. So I can really see that the independence and seeking that kind of freedom that you wanted to come to Finland.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
Yeah, I understood this actually now even more because freedom and independence, they are my most important values. And that's how I became an entrepreneur, to be able to choose people you work with, to be able to choose when you work, where you work. So yeah. But I think I've changed several jobs. I've applied. I learned how to pitch myself. I've learned how to sell myself on CVs in Finnish. I always proofread the Finnish CVs at my friends. That was like the must-have, because I didn't want anyone to see that, okay, my Finnish is not perfect. As I said, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, you said you came 20 years ago, so you have a quite wide experience already how the job market has evolved and changed. And at the moment, it seems there's kind of whirlwind going around in the job market and inside the expats and the foreigners who want to come to Finland. And even though those Finns who have lived years outside of Finland and want to come back, even they struggle. And that's one thing that surprised me, that even you are a Finn, that you come abroad, you are lacking of being your professionalism. They are
that was the most thing I was shocked about, because we have clients and they just decide to come back from China, back from UK, back from US, and they face this you don't have a Finnish market experience thing. And I'm shocked. Finland is so small. Finnish market is so small, and these people, they come from the market which is booming, which is so competitive, and they don't want to learn from this market. You don't just take the biggest advantages of this coming back people or whatever, foreigners who really worked at the companies which are front runners in their industry. And what they hear is you don't have the market experience. So we need to work a lot to prove, to build value proposition, to localize, how to say it, localize the skills, the experience, to meet the jargon of the industry. So it's a long way, to prove yourself again as a leader, as executive or specialist or whatever. Market is different.
Totally agree. And even though you are a top professional in your country, but when you come to Finland, you don't speak the language, you don't have maybe the master's degree done in the country, so they don't consider you as that. And it's always a risky decision. So I would like to ask you, what is the biggest risk in your life? Was it eventually to come to Finland, or during these 20 years, have you taken even bigger risks?
I've always taken risks. It's in my nature. I've done many mistakes. So the risks are different, of course. For example, it's always a risk to come to a northern country. In Finland, of course, you can get a job as an expat, for example, to come to Finland. And the risk of you being comfortable in that sandbox of this company, then when they have crisis or something and they kick you out, you don't have any other network than from this company. That's the biggest risk what I've seen. Because when they start to search for, or they want to go forward, okay, that company was the entrance to Finland. They don't have a network, and that's a problem. And the biggest problem is for introverts. That's they get stuck, or they go back, because you need to work, you need to dig in, you need to work through the network, and you need to do that strategically. So that's the biggest risk I've seen. And then also there are some people, they've worked for only one company in other country, and they are searching for the similar company or the same but similar company in Finland. And I would say, don't quit your job until you find one. Don't move here until you found a job. I would say so, because you need to have some kind of entrance, and you need to have some kind of like community who helps you out with integration and all these things, because these tekeskus or whatever, they help with getting into Finland. It's not enough. And for example, being unemployed in Finland, for Finnish people, it's a shame. I don't know if you figured it out.
Yeah.
For Finnish people, it's a shame. But being unemployed and foreigner, Finnish people think that it's more shame.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this?
Why do you think is that?
It's like, oh, why did you come here? They always think that, okay, you came here to get money or something. Well, but it's not the fact. They just want to get employed. They want to study. Someone wants to stay here because they like the culture, because it's a cultural fit. So, yeah, it's kind of like, and the more you are unemployed in Finland, the more you get stuck. And for example, the risks of being in community with other unemployed people, for example, there are these courses, language courses. I don't know if you've heard this, like, check your surroundings. You are the average of like people surrounding you. So if everyone is unemployed around you, you will stay unemployed. It's just the thing. I talked to several people, like they have their own like cultural community. They talk in their language. So that means they don't integrate to Finnish people. So they don't share same interests or whatever. And it's a big risk here in Finland, because you need to know Finnish people. You need to be open, and you need to know the culture, and you need to understand the decision making. You need to understand their values. And of course, if you want to sell yourself to an employer, you need to know the pain points and the values of the employer.
Yeah, as you describe, if you come alone without no network, it's super difficult. So it's better you have at least a job. That's why you come to Finland, and then you start to create your network. But what I wrote about my experience, or experience for my side and the side of my spouse, because we came together in Finland and he didn't have yet the job, but we decided to start our life in Finland. And I don't know, it was sad experience that we tried to, I tried to also help him to incorporate with the Finnish people, get to know. But as I said, I faced the lack of like a friendliness, or really want to get to know new people, or that was the saddest thing. And even applying a job interviews, I don't know if it's still there's something to do with the name, as you also wrote in your article that you have seeking a job with different, maybe your Russian surname, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think the name is, because some people who are coming back from, they lived like 10 years in UK, or they lived 20 years in Germany, and they speak perfectly Finnish, and they have German surname, and so I don't think the name is the fact. I still think that you need to know where are you applying to. You need to know your niche. So basically, when you are a job seeker in any country, you need to put the entrepreneurial hat, because you are selling yourself. You're selling what you have, and you need to be able to pitch it. You need to know what problems do you solve, and you need to know to find out the company who has this kind of problems. And it's international oriented. They appreciate international background. And there are these kind of companies in Finland. I usually advised, check if the CEO or someone of the management team has international background, because they're really eager to, talk English again, to be, and they really understand what is it to be, how it is to be outsider in other countries. So that's one bridge for several
Did you
companies.
have those feelings when you came? As you said, you came without nothing basically. So
I actually how to say it? I used a lot of humor, sarcasm, which Finns do. I still don't understand the sarcasm and this kind of humor, but I went along with that. And I really wanted to go to these parties where thing goes. So, I wanted to get through the flow, into the flow. If you don't get into the flow, you don't get there. You just need to catch it. And yeah, I was contacting companies who have Russian clients, international clients, but Russian-speaking clients. So that was my focus. So companies which worked with Russia or Russian-speaking countries. So that was my only focus. I didn't apply anywhere else. And it's less company.
Did you have already kind of
strategy?
Yeah, like a strategy that you come, yes.
Yeah, because
and what about
it's easy, yeah.
How did you start?
How did I start?
You narrow your you narrow your choices, or maybe you have then more possibilities if hey, I want to reach those companies who have those clients who speak those languages.
It's just less competition. It's if I am applying to the positions where Finns apply, like native Finns, so I will never be chosen. That's what was my thing. Well, later, I was actually thinking, like, what is my competitive advantage? So I was applying for the jobs other Finns are applying. But in the beginning, only Russian language was my advantage, and stubbornness and directness probably. So I always used advantage. Like what's my value proposition? Like how can I help companies? And that's what some job seekers, they're struggling. They think that okay, companies need to give them a job. But it's like you need to prove that you are needed. Like you need to prove that you are better and you can do better than the other one. So what can you do better? You just need to communicate it.
Yeah, but I think don't you think that's also the problem if you, as you said, if you try to apply those jobs that Finns originally Finnish people applied, you would never get the job.
Yeah.
Isn't that the problem? A part of the problem also, as if you compare 20 years ago, but now the world have changed. There's so many ways to communicate, to network, to interact. So if you just get denied.
Yeah, but the job ads in Finnish language, if the jobs are if you need to communicate in Finnish and if you don't know Finnish perfectly, so there is no chance you can get there. I think it's better to use the strategy where you can really use your strengths and you can be really valued for what you have, than to be always taken away only because you don't have something. The other way is better. And the point is
the food, how to say, the food on between the door, how to express that in English. To start somewhere.
Yeah, it's better to do it this way and to use what you have, because I've done this some pro bono webinars for international job seekers, and I've been facing this, that they start, for example, people who move to Finland with a husband or wife, and they start to lower their background, downsize, downshift. I'm like, why? Finland doesn't.
Why?
Doesn't require it. Of course, if you are a doctor, you need to get approved, your education and everything. Okay, some skills cannot be transferred to Finnish market because, for example, if you've been a bookkeeper in Russia, you cannot use the same systems here in Finland, or if you've done it in China. So the system is different. Or a doctor, for example. So you need to do this again. But if you've been managing projects, if you've been in customer service, or if you have some kind of skills you can actually use here without a need of Finnish language, or native need of Finnish language. So why downsize?
Yeah, I think you should appreciate what you have already achieved in your country, whether it's education, maybe you have learned some other language, all the skills you have. Definitely you should like keep that attitude. Hey, I'm a professional, I'm coming to new country. I want sort of the same level job that I would have in my native country of origin. I think that would be like that. That should be like that. And I'm also interested in your story. You are an entrepreneur now in Finland. So can you share a little bit about how did you ended up establishing your own company and your entrepreneurship story?
Actually, what I did, I stole the idea of CV writing, which was booming in US, in UK, years ago. I just learned how to do CVs. I learned how to do career coaching, and I started as a part-time, like on my free time, I started coaching women coming back from maternity leave to work, because almost, I would say 99% of women with after giving birth, they have these value changes. Their values changed, and they don't really want to go back to the same job.
One question on that you think the value has changed in the perfect perspective of employers or inside themselves?
Inside themselves. For example, they start to value, like what clicked in me, I started to appreciate the freedom of choice, like self-development, like the focus shifts somewhere else. And most of them, they start to search for what I am to be, what is my purpose, and so on. There is this kind of like crisis, like every woman goes through, basically, when they get a first baby or the second, So I was helping them to get their self-confidence, because the self-confidence after you are at home for over 1 year, so you are like thinking, can I can I do the same job? Can I manage it or not? So I was helping them, and we went through all the strengths, all the skills, the potential and everything, and they didn't get invited to job interviews. And I was like, what the hell? Like, how? And I asked them to give me their CVs. I wanted to check their CVs, and it was a joke, the CV. It was full of titles, and it was like something about them. I said, but this cannot sell you. Like this doesn't say anything about you as a professional. It's just a paper. We need to make it as a marketing. So I asked if I can make it, because I knew those women, and we went through the skills through the achievements already. So I just wrote them in a presentable way, and they got interviews, and the interview, and the next one got interview, and the next, and that's how the word of mouth went, and I was like fully booked on weekends and every evening. Additional to my full-time job back then.
Yeah, I was about to ask, did you have like other job while back?
Yeah. So I was working at Sanoma. Actually, Sanoma was my number one target from the beginning. When I was studying in Kajaani, we went this trip, like a business trip. So I was standing in Sanoma. We had this tour, and I was standing there, I will be working here. And I was like, well, it's impossible, but let's try. And I forgot about this. And several years after, I was working there. That's like so cool. I think I was one of, I don't know if there were any Russian speaking at all there, maybe in IT or something, but it was like really rare. But I think in 2020, when there was the worst pandemic, I had so many projects I couldn't go on with my job, like salary job that pays me salary, and the one like CV writing, LinkedIn writing, I couldn't go on. So I quit my job at Sanoma. I chose the one which was near to my heart. And yeah, that's how I became an entrepreneur. Of course, I developed myself. I studied a lot about this, and when executives found me, I was like, okay, I've never been an executive. I've never been a top manager. I've never been a managing director. I don't know how to work with them. So I went to courses to be able to understand like how careers change, how crises go, like how mind works. And here I am, basically after it's been 4.5 years, like since 2020, since September, I was a full-time entrepreneur. And we have almost like 10 people in our team, like part-time, like they're all freelancers. But it's been great. It's really cool. It's just, I don't know. We've been growing like over 30% every year. So it's really nice. I've been enjoying.
Was that for you the risky decision to transition your day-to-day permanent job to entrepreneurship? Did you know anything about it, or was it like a leap for unknown or something like that for you?
Well, I did do part-time this like entrepreneurship, since I did have clients. When I hit this 2,000 euro a month income from like side hustle, I decided, okay, now I can do it, because I'm quite like safe oriented, and I don't want to be money dependent or anything. So yeah, it was a risk. And I'm the only entrepreneur in our like family. Like we don't have entrepreneurs, so you need to learn it. But it seems that I've proved myself to be a really entrepreneurial myself. So like if you don't try it, you don't know it, basically.
And how has it been so far? The risk was worth of taking.
Yeah, it was worth of taking. Yeah, we've built our brand quite well. People know us already. People recognize us. In the beginning, when I was telling like I'm writing CVs on my part, like free time, or I'm writing LinkedIn's on my free time, they was like, okay, they were like laughing, like who would pay for a CV writing or LinkedIn writing to a person who is not native Finnish? And I had like 90% of my clients were Finns. Can you imagine?
Really? That's
Yeah.
You really
But
had made it successful here. That sounds
yeah,
amazing.
I've proved them wrong, because nowadays, like the packages we sell, they're like from 3,500, So I developed this like to a more bigger level. So how to nowadays we commercialize executives like to the job market, or to be ready and prepared for any changes on job market. So yeah, I proved everyone wrong.
And you shared the article with me you wrote about these aspects of trying to get the job as an executive position or different one. But when it comes at the end of the day, I think it's also, you wrote about the networks as what was the statistic you wrote about? The 20% job openings are put out there, but then the rest are just like you need to sort of fight it out.
Yeah, 80% of the job market is hidden. So people they're struggling somewhere in the company because of short of resources, or someone is going to leave. Always someone is leaving, retiring, or just someone is finding a job, and there is always somewhere. a place.
Yeah, what I think, or also have heard, that if you are an expat, you come to Finland, you just start to apply a whole lot amount of jobs, to try to
Yeah,
get at least one interview. For example, applied 300 plus and only
yeah,
get a few interviews. So that's
yeah.
kind
That's
of the sad thing, that you get the job if you have like the networks already.
not really. Well, you can get a job if it is an open position, but you need to be like really strict about where to apply. Like 200 applications, like over 200, over 100 if it is way too much. Yeah. So like I said, as an entrepreneur, you have your niche. As a job seeker, you also have your niche. So you are not a fit to any company. You have a fit, you need to have a cultural fit, or you need to evaluate like what is your cultural fit, like what is the company profile, like who would actually need you, like which companies would really need your skills, like so that you can do the value proposition. So if there is a job opening and, for example, they go to Asian market, okay, you are from Asia, for example, and the distributors, so you can drop the names, and you like, how can you help people to localize their business, for example, Finnish companies. So it's always about the focus, because without focus, you shoot into the sky and you don't get anything, So in every job search, there need to be a focus. I need to narrow the search, not widen, and that's the biggest risk what foreigners do, like coming back people do. They just apply for anything, and that hits on your self-confidence a lot, because you get no for almost every application, and that gets you so down, so it's difficult to get up, and that's why downshifting goes.
I think that's what happens in the most cases also. But do you think this lack of, maybe, I don't know what's the reason behind it, but it's the job, if to put it like this, if the reason to not get the job is there for the job seeker or the employer? Is there any like this kind of setup,
There
or
is
it's the combination?
That's a good question. Because if you don't change or if you don't tailor your CV for the employer, you will be misunderstood or not understood at all. And is it employers like guilt, or is it job seekers? We can argue on everything, but I think the best thing you can do, being a foreigner or coming back expat, so you can just click all the questions, like answer all the questions before they raise in their head, like why do you apply, like what are you bringing to the table, and to show your value proposition. I think maybe the disadvantage of job seekers without sales experience. So if you haven't done the solution sales, you don't know how to sell yourself or anything. So that's the skill everyone should learn in their life, because it's like a lifesaver in any cases of the career. How to sell.
And how you learned that skill?
I went to sales.
How did you learn that skill?
I got the sales job. I learned the sales. I went to B2B sales. I actually I made a transition from logistics. It's kind of normal to go to logistics when you speak Russian. It's like really expert to Russia, was booming back then. And I went to logistics, and I decided like, no way I'm going to be there for 20 years. I was like 2.5 years done. Never, I don't want to do it again. So I decided to go to sales. I was selling in Finnish by phone. That was like really, but when I made the first deal, my confidence went so up. So I didn't care. Like, do I speak fluently, perfectly Finnish? Who cares? I do the money. It's just when you learn how to sell, how to question, how to make questions, how to get the pain of the company, like struggle, challenges. Well, that's the same thing in Finnish job market or any job market.
If you should put like a 4 main skills to people to have, what would they be?
Yeah, I would say, of course, understanding of the job market. That's like, like watching trend watching or something. Then, of course, B2B sales or sales in general. Then I would say presentation skill, sales pitch, like how to pitch yourself, elevator pitch, whatever, whatever happens with networking. I would put on them. Of course, additionally to your background, to your education, and to your work experience. But these are, I would focus on them.
That really sounds good plan, and I really would love to see the foreigners really get those jobs, and that's what you do, right? You really want those people to nail those jobs they apply, right? Can you share a little bit about your day-to-day, how you work with these topics and things to help people, like in really you put your hands on there and go?
I can share. Most of our clients are Finns around the world. In Finland, most of them in Finland. Of course, we have international clients also in different countries, and they live in those countries. I don't know how they find us. I mean, through word of mouth. Some colleagues told them about us. But what we do, the problem of Finnish executives, or like any humble executive, they don't like to show up. They're really good leaders, and they think like, okay, they've done, and people should understand what they've done. People should read between lines, but they don't. So what we do, we actually interview each of our clients, and we interview for 3 hours. That's like a long storytelling for the longest maybe ever. They need to talk about themselves, but we do that because we want to understand like what is the hottest thing in them, like what is the competitive advantage, like what have they done, how they succeed, why they chose the different paths, why they chose different companies, to understand like what is the next cultural match, like company match. And yeah, we always want to understand like what is the best suitable position for the next step. Like what should it include? For example, if you're like a generalist, leader, you don't need to do everything. So some people like to do turnarounds. Some people like to put companies on sale. Some people like to do cultural transformations or digital transformations. So we actually dig deep to understand people, so if we understand, so we can actually write them write the stories and the sales pitches in CVs and LinkedIn. So if we understand this, recruiters will understand this. That's how we see it. And not every recruiter or recruiting manager, not every hiring manager, only one who is searching for this kind of person, like from the company of cultural match.
That sounds a really good strategy, and you seem you have you have something unique there to really help people. But as we've seen lately in the media, we are like Finland are crushing, as in the Expat Insider, the results drop, yet we are happiest country in the world, but it doesn't really correlate the foreigners' experiences and life in Finland. So what would you suggest as sort of a solution, or is there any to do something with this situation in Finland currently?
I would say we are already losing our competitive advantage in some cases because Finns, they sell their companies to international companies. So we need to build to upskill our people. I've heard that Saudi Arabia, they do upskilling really heavily. They put leaders, they really educate leaders. And in Netherlands, they have English as a formal working language. I think they do have it as the one formal language, like working language. So I know Finns are proud about Finnish language and so on, but it's such a small country. If you want to stay in the country, okay, learn Finnish language. If you don't want, think twice if you want to come here. It's just for 3-5 years, or to be expat or transition from the company in your country to the same like a subsidiary in Finland and try this out. I think it's the best solution. But to be able to live here and enjoy it, you need to try it first. Like to live here for several months as a tourist, I think Finland is not for everyone. Not everyone will be happy here because of taxes. When some foreigners come to me, they reach me out in LinkedIn and they say, "Oh, we want to move to Finland." I was like, "Okay, so you live there and your taxes are there. So like, how much do you want to earn, like net?" And when they say, I said, "Okay, so you need to get to this kind of position to be able to earn that." And they were like, "What? Like what? Why?" And then Finland is not your country. It's just if the salary is the main thing, no.
Sure. And what was also in my point of view was the language. I know Finland is a small country, and we speak Finnish with each other, but I thought everyone in Finland speaks English and are willing to speak English with anyone. But no, it's not like that. You cannot. I don't know. It was like I don't know. Maybe I was naive thinking like that. Everyone can survive in Finland and get the job, and all's gonna work out like snapping the fingers, sort of like that. But it's not the case.
I was surprised also, like when Finns in UK, Germany, US, they contact us, "Okay, can you help me?" I'm like, "You have CV writers there. You have people there." "No, we want to speak Finnish." They can save money because, you can find CV writer for like $300 or even $100 in US. Well, of course, you need to, if you want to have an executive level, it can be quite expensive, or at the same level as ours. But I think Finnish emotional language is Finnish, and they cannot show emotions through English language, and that's a barrier. Unless they get drunk.
Yeah.
Every time
that's a different case.
Yeah. That maybe that's why I got into the flow, because I was always the fun part on the parties, because we always had these drinks and we had fun and we were the best buddies always. Yeah, so you need to drink alcohol to be able to integrate.
Yeah, maybe need to just try a different approach. Maybe just to get a little bit fun first and then get to the business or something.
Yeah.
But hey, I have one more question for you as we talk about entrepreneurship and risks. I would like to know, was the risk really worth for you to take? And do you think it's worth to take for somebody who wants to really come to Finland and try to pursue his or her life in Finland?
Well, I think the world is so digital nowadays. So you can work from anywhere. If you want to work from Finland, you can work. You don't need to work it for Finnish market. like people think that they need to work for Finnish market. Well, you can do the same thing and you can work for different markets. Like we work online and, our clients are whatever in the world. And they are not everyone in Espoo or Helsinki here in Finland. So we barely see them. Well, I mean, in life, well, of course, sometimes we meet and so on. But actually, I was thinking, okay, think bigger, think much bigger. If you have like digital skills, if you can do online, if you have ability for that and, willing, well, you can work from Finland, you can get your money in Finland. Okay, you need to be ready to do the taxes. But yeah, you can definitely try. And I've seen so many potential, like when I was coaching women, I did some workshops also for this international working of women in Finland. There were so many potential, cake makers, like artists. And I was like, why don't you sell it? Yeah, but who will buy it? But not in Finland. What market is huge? There are platforms you can sell everything. Like, okay, but I am more entrepreneurial. I spot the business opportunities. But maybe if someone is thinking about entrepreneurship, they need to get entrepreneurs around. They need to go to these meetings,
Sure.
summits or whatever to feel it. I don't regret. No, I don't know even if I am okay to go back to like everyday job. Like at the moment, no way. Like no way. I'm going back.
That's what everybody says when you one time you have come entrepreneur, there's no coming back to the 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, I think if something happens and I cannot do this job anymore, I will figure out something else. And I have already like 2 ideas. So yeah.
I'm really grateful for having you here today, Julia, here to talk with me and share these insights. And I see you as a pioneer to really get those markets in Finland and internationally. And you see the potential in those people. Maybe they don't at first see in themselves. So I'm really grateful also to get to know you through LinkedIn, this network we have also there. And as you wrote in your article last phrase, you said that Finland now really is your home country, right?
Yeah, it is. From time to time, I was thinking like maybe I can go as an expat or, for 2 years or 1 year to try to go abroad to, to be in different culture because Finland is really my home now. But I would come back. It's kind of like really, when you get used to this culture and you appreciate, okay, your freedom, but the distance also, like you have your boundaries and so on. So yeah, I'm at home here, surely.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm sure we will hear more of these brighter side of stories about the life in Finland. So Julia, thank you for being here today and share your experience.
Thank you for inviting me, Jane.
And thank you also for the viewers and listeners, and we'll get back you again with the next episode. Bye-bye.